Boards and booze, booze and boards, drinks and beers, fight some hordes. Drank too much, forgot our swords, ran back home, filled our gourds, got drunk again, sang some chords. Boards and booze and boards, with Mickey and Jeb. Hey Mickey, what are two things that I like?
Beer and, well, I can't say that.
I don't think they make board games with those two things mixed.
You like Japanese stuff.
I do.
And you like, let's see if I'm getting close. You like Godzilla.
Yeah.
That's not it?
I was going to say like mechs.
Oh, mechs!
Stuff.
Oh, yeah. Okay, alright. So you like Japanese and mechs.
Yeah.
Like Macross and Gundam or however you use Gundam. Gundam style? No? That's a dance. Can you do that dance, Jeb? Jeb, do that dance.
I can't do it, but I can sing it.
No. Okay, back up. Let's not have Jeb sing for us. This is not karaoke time. So what does that mean? What game are we playing then, Jeb?
A game that you pointed out to me. It's called Starship Samurai.
Yeah, because I wanted to play it and didn't want to buy it.
He was like, hey, Jeb's this sucker who likes Japanese stuff.
This is
and it
true.
says samurai in it.
He really, this is honest to God's truth. He was on the fence by it and I kept poking at him going, Jeb, it's mechs and it's Japanese. Jeb, it's mechs and it's Japanese. Look at the pretty figures. Boom, here it is at the table. Hot off the press.
Yeah, I think it's only been out 2 or 3 weeks, something like that.
Yep. Starship Samurai, Plaid Hat, and Isaac Vega from Dead of Winter fame. Other
Ashes.
Ashes, which we haven't done a review of, but we both like that game too. Anyways, so what more can you ask for? Japanese theme with mechs.
I know.
But you know what? The heck with the Japanese part of it. Just mechs is cool.
And there's actually figures for all the mechs too.
Right.
So
they're like samurais, which makes it even better.
Right. Yeah, it's like win-win.
It is a win-win.
So this is what, 2 to 4 players. It says 60 to 90 minutes, which.
I think that's probably about right once you know
how to play it. Yeah. And then ages 14 and up. I feel like you could probably go down to like 12, something like that.
You might be able to drop a little bit. It is pretty strategic, I would say.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say the mechanics are necessarily hard.
Right.
I feel like that rating is more of the depth of the game.
Yeah.
In terms of like strategy and stuff.
Yep.
So, what's the premise?
It is...
You're a samurai in a starship?
Well, if you guys know like the Sengoku era where it's like different clans are feuding in Japan.
Sengoku era guy over here.
This is pretty much that put in space. So you have different clans that are vying for power in space. So instead of different parts of Japan they're fighting for, it's different like galaxies and stuff.
So Japan took over the galaxy?
I don't know if it was Japan. I don't know.
Huh.
But it looks like it with the Japanese themed mechs.
That's my point. Okay, so anyways, again, it's a fresh one from Plaid Hat. It wasn't a Kickstarter, was it? I don't think they've done any of their games on Kickstarter.
I just remember you were like, yeah, this is here, and I was like, oh, it's for pre-order, so that's where.
So anyways, I don't know what much more to say about it other than we can jump into components if you want to, unless you have anything else to say.
I guess it's kind of like a little bit area control. If you're
a lot of it area control.
Yeah, if you want to know what kind of game it is. So
I agree.
So we'll get into components, and then if you want to check that stuff out, we'll go over gameplay, and then we'll actually do a game of it. Probably just us two.
Yep.
And then we'll do a review. So check out any of the parts that you want to see.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're going to talk about the components of Starship Samurai real quick.
Which are pretty awesome.
Yeah. What should we start with, Mickey? There's some cool stuff.
You have the list. What the heck? Okay, I'm just gonna make crap up now, Jeb.
All right, let's start with the boards.
All right, what board first?
All right, so the Alliance board.
All right. So this is the Alliance board. I'm gonna put it over top of this stuff for a minute. And basically, the Alliance board has spaces for all the different alliances down here, which are represented by the chip that Jeb's putting on there, and it is the victory point track around the edge. That's all it encompasses. You'll notice that there are some symbols in the middle, and those are for scoring based on where your alliance, this is player.
Yep, each column
symbols,
represents a player.
And then where the alliances align on this track indicate what kind of bonus you could potentially get when it's time to score.
Alright, next up are the location boards.
Alright, so your location boards are basically
there's four of them.
Pictures of planets, and there's 4 of them. And guess what? You use the number of player boards based on the number of players in the game. So basically the location board is generic, alright? And you're going to have cards that come into play, which are over here, and that is going to be the location every round. And then you have spots that you can occupy with your ships and or your samurai. The planet itself is just a picture. You can't put anything there.
Alright, and then the last kind of board is the player board.
Alright, player board. Alright, we'll lay that one over top real quick for you. Player board, here's where you get to keep your ships.
Unit supply.
Unit supply. Unit graveyard. When your ships get killed, they go over here. They're not out permanently, but they are out until the round is over. This is where you're going to put your ship unit cards and your samurai cards, which we'll get into in just a little bit. And this is your order section, where you'll get to decide where you put fancy little order tokens here. And as you can see there, we'll mention these again, but they're 1 through 4, and I guarantee, unless you've read the rules, it's not what you're thinking. And
there is a symbol and kind of a color for the specific players.
Right. So this happens to be the symbol for the blue, and so you would take the blue ships and stuff.
All right. Next up are the cards in the game. So we have the action cards, which is the deck of...
So this is the deck of action cards, and there's just multiple different things that you might be able to use throughout the game. There are order cards, there are battle cards, which will make more sense when you actually know how to play the game. But that seems to be it. Just order and battle.
And there are 2 action cards that everybody starts with one of them. And they are the Elite General and the Chain Strategy.
Right. And they are both battle cards.
Yep.
That do different... Well, they both do different things.
And then next up are the different ship cards. So there is a fighter ship and a carrier ship. And every player is going to start with one
of those.
And
I don't remember. Can you upgrade the ships, or are they always? There's none of the. Okay, no ships.
Not that I know.
I didn't see any either. Just wondering.
Then there are the samurai cards.
Samurai cards. Right here, there are 8 samurai cards, represented by 8 samurai figures. Which you guys are all excited that these look so cool, but I'm gonna burst your bubble because Jeb painted these and they really came out good. So there you go. So like that looks really cool. Jeb's got that one black and orange. I like the way this green guy came out. He's got like this, hey, a bow. Imagine that, right, Jeb? He's got like a gigantic mech bow. Anyways, Jeb did a great job on painting these things, and he was like, I painted these things really fast too, but I think just because of the way the mechs are, like there's like large areas, they lent themselves to like painting quick. They came out fantastic, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I spent maybe like 2 days painting all of them because I was trying to rush before I got to play it. So.
Right.
And then the last kind of card are the location cards,
which I mentioned real quick before. There's a bunch of different locations. They're going to go on the location boards, so they'll be random. Important thing to note about the locations is there's a name, not super important other than, you know, get some flair to the game. This little symbol up here, which is, I forget what it's called, that plays a part in the scoring. I would say...
I don't think there's actually a name for it. It just says different types of locations.
So it's a type.
Yeah.
And then probably I would say the most, if not, I mean, I would put it in front of this most of the time, is this power on the bottom, which will come into play when we explain to you how to play the game. But they all have some sort of a, what were these called? Alliance connections and abilities on each card.
And there's one other thing which isn't
pips.
super noticeable.
The pips, yes. Yep. So the pips on the bottom right-hand corner of the cards tell you what cards stay in the game and what cards come out based on the number of players. It's a little bit different than what you're usually used to, because a lot of them, most games are like, oh, if it's 3 or more, it stays in, otherwise take it out, etc., etc. This one is, if we're playing a 2-player game, go look for the 2 pips. There's a 2 pip. There's a 2 pip. There's a 2 pip. There's a 2 pip. Take them out. So it's kind of reversed, as at least from all the games Jeb and I have played so far, and maybe we're behind the 8 ball and playing games, but I feel like we play a lot. Anyways, that's what those pips are for.
Alright, next up are the different figures in the game. So there are the samurai mechs, which
we already showed you.
Yep. Then there are the fighter ships.
Fighter ships. Everybody gets a handful of fighter ships. Very nice fighter ships.
There's 4 different colors too.
So we got blue, green, red, and gray in this game. But anyways, these are pretty cool looking. And then you have a carrier. Everybody gets 1 carrier ship.
Alright. And then the tokens that come in the game. There are the wealth tokens.
So you have... Actually, these look very Netrunner-y, don't they?
Yeah.
So you have wealth, which look like basically like credit tokens in Netrunner.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of. Anyhow, so this is your economy.
And then there is the first player token.
Big circle, like many games.
Alright, then there are the score markers.
Score markers. So each person has a different color. Here's my blue one, I got it back here. So there are 4 of each color. They're going to go on the fancy board I showed you at first, going around the score track.
Then there are the order markers.
Order markers are, I also showed you earlier, the 1, 2, 3, and 4 of each color. There's gray, there's red, there's green, and I have the blue back here with all the blue stuff.
And then the last ones are the alliance markers.
And then the alliance markers.
Clan markers, I guess.
And they also go, they will originally reside there and move up and down this board depending on, obviously, number of players and what locations come out.
And that's everything for the components. Alright, so we're going to go over the setup now. So the first thing you're going to do is gather all the boards. So there are the player boards, the location boards, and the alliance board. You are going to remove the location boards so that you only have boards equal to the number of players. So we're going to do a 2-player game. So there's 4 location boards. We're going to get rid of numbers 3
There's
and 4.
1, and there's 2, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to count.
Alright, next you are going to take the location cards and remove all the cards depending on the player count. So like we said in the components, that if it's a 2-player game, you're going to remove all the location cards with 2 pips.
So there's 2 pips. There's 2 pips. There's 2 pips. There's 2 pips. Just FYI, there are cards in the deck with no pips that are always in the game, just so you know. But those are the ones that are coming out.
Yep, so they're back in the box. Alright, let's clean this up a little bit.
Oh, we only need 2 player boards too, because there's only 2 players.
Alright. Next you are going to make the location deck. So you're going to shuffle all the location cards that are going to be used, and you're going to draw 1 for each location board.
Alright, so this is the location deck. Figures I'd get it upside down. And there's a location, and there's a location.
Yep. And then you're just going to leave the location deck off to the side. Next up, you're going to give each of the players 1 Elite General and 1 Change Strategy card.
Which, as Jeb mentioned before, are these 2 cards. So, 1 each for Jeb, 1 each for Mickey.
And the rest get removed from the game.
So I will pass these to Jeb.
And then you'll take the rest of the action cards and make the action deck. So you just shuffle all of those together to make the deck.
Which the back of the cards have like a throwing star on them.
Alright, and once you finish shuffling, you just set them off to the side.
We should rifle shuffle because Jeb shuffles terribly.
Yes, if you don't do it, you're going to get lots of clumped cards. At least when you first open the game.
And I didn't bend his card so he doesn't have a fit. Alright, so there's the action deck.
Next up, you are going to put all the clan markers in the neutral space on the alliance board.
Oh, they actually have pictures of what they are.
They do, but I mean...
It really doesn't matter, but they actually do have their own starting spots. So, just for purposes of being cool like I am, put them on where they're supposed to be.
Mickey's coolness is definitely subjective.
Boom. How about them apples?
Yep. Okay, we moved the location boards and the location card and action card decks off so we can show you the next part, which is give each player a player board. So we'll just set up 1 player over here. You're going to give them 1 large ship unit card and 1 small ship unit card, which is the fighter ship.
You want the other side set up? You said we were only doing 1.
I was only doing 1.
Alright.
You're going to give them the order markers.
So they can just set these off to the side?
Yep. The ship figures. And the score marker.
Which they're going to put on that space on the board.
Yeah, the next step is to slot all the ship unit cards, which Mickey already did. Put all the figures into the supply, which Mickey did. And to place the score marker on the 0, which Mickey did. So all players are going to do that.
Be like Mickey.
The next, you're going to determine who the first player is going to be and give them the first player token. So we'll make Mickey first player.
Alright.
Alright. And then the next part is the first player is going to take all the Samurai mech cards. So there's 8 of them.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And they're all different to match the different mechs.
Yep. The first player is going to draft 1 of those cards and then pass the remainder to the next player. So since it's a 2-player, I'm the next player. And I take 1. And since I'm the last player, the way it works is
It's
snake. So the last player gets to pick another, which I will pick another, and then pass it back to Mickey, and he gets to pick 1. So in the end, all players are going to have 2 Samurai mechs. In the 2-player game, these 4 are just going to be out of the game and won't be used. Alright. And after that's done, you're going to reveal your mech cards that you chose. So Mickey revealed those two, and he's going to slot them into the two slots for the samurai cards and collect the mechs and place them in his supply. And that
Jeb would be doing the same thing simultaneously, just with whatever he picked. Just as an aside in case somebody's jumping in late or something.
And then the only other thing which we didn't really mention is that the
Supply.
wealth tokens, they're just going to be in a big supply on the side.
And you don't start with any money.
Right. Alright, and that's everything for setup. Alright, so we've changed the camera angle so you can see the entire board. This is how we're going to play later. So right now we're going to talk about how to play the game. The game consists of rounds that are just going to keep going until this deck runs out. So rounds are based off of the location deck. On a round, players are going to have turns that go back and forth. A round consists of 3 phases. So the first phase is the player's turn phase. And what happens is it starts with the first player, and when it's their turn, so Mickey, for example, is the first player right now. The first thing he's going to do is check the locations, and if he is in control of any of the locations, he would get the bonus. But since this is the first turn, he doesn't control anything, so we'll skip that for a second. And then after he makes that check, it gets to perform one order. So Mickey, you want to talk about that?
Sure. So, these are your order tokens for the game. And they're numbered 1 through 4. And initially, you might be thinking, unless you've read the rules already, that 1 through 4 is going to be some kind of actual turn order that you're going to take it in. But it isn't. Not even close. So each of the spaces on your player card does a different thing. You have a move, your allegiance markers, which are those. You have a move units. Every figure you have is a unit, but not everything is a ship. So these are your mechs, and some things refer to ships, which would be the fighters and or the carrier. There is a draw cards space and a gain wealth space. So, for example, the move unit says move up to X units. The X is what the order token represents. So if I drop a 4 order token on where it says move units, I get to move 4 units. Okay?
That can be from the supply to a location or a location to a location.
If I do gain wealth for a 3, I would take the 3 credits or whatever they're called in this game, etc., etc. And it's also important to note that just because you placed one order on there, your next turn, if you really wanted more money, you could place another one on top of it. So you're not limited to one order per spot, per round. You could literally do all 4 orders on the same spot if you so desired.
So just a couple of things about the different orders you can do. If you choose the move the clan marker, X spaces, the clan markers, they can go up or down the different columns.
They're called allegiance on your card, just
yes.
so you know. It's called move allegiance, but those are the clan markers. I'm just sorry, Jeb. I'm just trying to distinguish like what they call everything on here.
So if Mickey had placed the 4 on the move allegiance, he could say take this one and go 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right. So.
And if I had placed a 2 on it on mine, I could go, oh, I don't want him to have that, so I'll go 1, 2 and move it back down. You can't move allegiances like this. They literally have to go all the way back to the neutral zone, and then they can be moved back to a different column.
So just kind of to distinguish between why I actually piped in about the allegiance and the clan, so these are the clan markers and then the allegiance, because whatever track it's on is who it has allegiance to. And just as an aside, when it says you can move a allegiance marker, you can move anybody's. It doesn't have to be on your track. So you can move anything from down there, and if I wanted to mess with Jeb so he got a lower score, or bonus, or maybe no bonus if I had enough movement, you know, I can do that.
Alright, so let's talk about moving units. So Mickey had pointed out that when you take that action, you get to move that many units. The biggest, I guess, thing to remember is, say, if this location is full of my guys, and Mickey takes the move action of however many, let's say 1, he cannot move ships into this location because it is full. However, he can choose to move his mech, and when mechs move into full locations, they get to destroy the weakest ship at the location. So if Mickey chose to move his mech in, he would just destroy this and replace it with his mech. If there was I guess if Mickey had 1 ship on there and he decided to move it in, the weakest ship, they're all actually the same strength, so he would get to choose and he would destroy one of mine instead of his own. For drawing cards, you draw from the action deck. So if Mickey played the 3 on that one, he could draw 3 cards. There is a hand limit of 5, so you have to keep that in mind.
And you start with the 2.
Yep.
And and just real quick, the 1 card that you have, change strategy, that every time you play it, it comes back into your hand. So unless you had another card that allowed you to discard something, that's staying in your hand most of the game.
And then there is the gain wealth tokens, which is really simple. You just gain however many wealth tokens into your own supply. The one thing to remember is that when you perform an order, you get the chance to play an order action card. So on the action cards, it'll either say battle or order. So if it says order, you can play it before or after you perform your order.
Right. Also, your fighter ship has a free order, and the carrier ship has a movement mechanic. But anything that's any of your mechs or the fighter ship, if they have an order, that works like the order card that Jeb just said. That you wouldn't play it. You would just use the ability as an order, either before you perform it or after you perform it.
So that's everything you would do on your turn. So since Mickey's first, he would take a turn, perform the order, then it would be me, I would perform one, and we'd go back and forth until all the orders have been used up. And once that happens, then the player's turn phase is over, so we would move on to the battle phase. So let's throw some mechs and stuff over here.
And I don't think we went over the power of things when we were talking about the
not yet.
Yeah, the cards and all that. So this section will explain how, because we've talked about it a couple times, but I don't think we explained what it meant yet.
Alright, so for the battle phase, you are going to resolve battles at every location in numerical order. So the first thing, you're going to pick the location, which we start with number 1. Both players, in turn order, are going to get to commit 1 battle card to the battle. So that's cards that are in your hand. Like Mickey said, the change strategy goes back to your hand, so you'll always have that as a battle card to play. So since Mickey's first, he would put 1 card face down, and then I would put 1 card face down, and then now we're ready to resolve the battle cards. So turn order again, Mickey would flip his, and he gets to do what it says.
With the elite general, and it's gain +3 power. So the upside down triangle symbol means power.
Yep. And I chose change strategy, so it says gain either a wealth token or draw an action card and then place it back in my hand. So I'll take one of these.
Change it.
And then
That
put
means
that-
I'm gonna lose. Let me get something.
Yeah. And then after that, you're going to total the power at that location and declare a victor. So all the ships have powers in the top left of their cards, and so do the mechs. So Mickey, you want to count up your total?
Okay, so if you look at your fighter ship card, it's a 1. So I have 2 ships, so that's a power of 2 for those. And this mech's power is 6. So 6, 7, 8.
Yep. And then mine, I've got 3 fighter ships, and then Shingen has a 2 power. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5. However, his ability is every ship you control at his location gains a +1 power. So that would make all of these guys another +1. So 2, 4, 6, 8.
So I add a +3.
Yeah. So my power is 8 and yours is 11.
Right.
So Mickey wins the location. So what happens now is the winner will gain 5 victory points. So Mickey would move up 5. And then he would get to resolve the reward at the location.
Which says that I can take the Orange Clan. I don't know if they have names, but this is Orange.
They do.
Orange Clan, and I can move it up or down 2. So basically that means if Jeb already had control of it, I can mess with him. If nobody has control of it, or if I already had control of it, I would move it up further on the track.
So 1, 2.
Yeah. And then I acquire the card.
Yep. And then after he acquires the card, he is going to take all of his units at that location and put them back in his supply. So that resolved the first place. The second place, there is nobody, so no battle's going to take place. So once all the locations are done, you move to the resolution phase. In this, you are going to gain rewards from alliances. So what that means is you're going to look at the alliance board, and since Mickey, I have no alliance, so I won't gain anything. Mickey has 1 alliance, or 1 clan marker on this space, so he would gain 1 victory point.
So just in case you can't see, this is, if you're down at the very bottom, you gain 1 money. This is gain 1 victory point, 2 victory points, 3, 4, and 5.
Yep. After you do that, you're going to discard any locations that are left in play and populate the locations again. So flip another location for each place. After that, you will restore any units and orders. So if you had anything that was destroyed this turn that's in the graveyard, you would move it back to your unit supply, and you would take all your orders off your board just to kind of clear it up. And then you would pass the first player token. And that is it for the round. So once the round ends, you just go to the next one.
Start all over again.
A quick thing that we didn't talk about, so since I'm first player, I'll take my first turn. So before I actually place this, I have to check if I control anything. So I do control this location.
Right.
So I would get the effect on the location card, so I could get to move blue up too. I don't control that, and then I would take my turn.
Okay.
So that's one thing you gotta remember.
And make sure that you paid attention to what Jeb said. It's not, it is, these powers actually trigger at the start of your turn if you control the area, and they also trigger for if you win it in a battle.
Yep.
So it really does, it's not just when you take the card, it's during the round too where these could possibly trigger, just so you know. That's not a mistake. That's the way the game is set up. Also, and Jeb will cut me out if he doesn't want me to talk about this yet, but the importance of these cards, if you're wondering why are we taking, the location cards, is up in this corner there are little diamonds with little diamond with little diamonds inside. So there's a 2, 3, and 4, or 1, 2, 3, and 4?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, so it can either have a 1, of the white diamonds, 2 white diamonds, 3 white diamonds, or 4 white diamonds. What you're trying to do during the game is get as many different ones as you can. This is a type symbol. Why they did it that way, I don't know, but that's what it is. So during end game scoring, if you have different types, you'll get a bonus, and it's not a set builder, so it doesn't. You're not getting, like, if you have, for some reason, if you acquired 6 locations and you had 3 different ones and 3 different ones, you're not getting the bonus twice. You're only getting the bonus one time, just so you know. So strategy-wise, you're either going to be trying to get one for yourself or block your opponent from getting one they need.
Yeah.
I don't know if you wanted me to say that then. You can put it in later.
No, that's fine. Because all that I had left was the game ends when you try to populate the locations, but you don't have enough cards. Then since that's at the end of the round, it pretty much doesn't matter for that stuff. And then you would do as Mickey says, check your in-game bonus points, and then whoever has the most victory points wins the game.
Right. So it's basically a big old battle for victory points. That might seem pretty simple. The end game bonuses go up to what? What's the highest you can get if you have all 4?
All 4 is 9 victory points.
9. So
it goes 2 different cards is 3, and then 3 is 6, and
so 1. If you have just 1, you get nothing.
Yeah.
So you have to have 2, 3, or 4. And 9 might not sound like a whole lot, but it could change. So basically, you've got a lot of different strategies here. You can play with these things for these bonuses. You can play for trying to get those over here, or winning the battles each time is also, don't forget, that's 5 victory points. I don't think there's anything else.
no, that's everything. So we are going to come back and play a game of this.